Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something I think we can all get behind.
Yeah.
Volunteering. We've got a bunch of different sources to look at.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to start with this podcast episode I found.
Okay.
All about how volunteering can benefit young people who are learning English.
That's interesting.
Right. You don't always put those two things together, do you?
Not really,
Yeah.
but I can definitely see how it could be a good combination.
Yeah, and this episode makes some really good points about that connection.
Oh, cool.
They use this little dialogue between two friends,
Okay.
Emma and Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason is kind of like our stand-in for the hesitant learner.
Makes sense.
You know, he's worried about finding the time and if he'll actually be able to make a difference.
Oh, yeah, those are definitely common concerns.
Right. And he also worries about it distracting him from his other goals.
Yeah, I can see that.
So basically, they're trying to address those doubts that a lot of people have about volunteering.
It's like they're speaking directly to the listener.
Exactly.
So what about Emma?
Well, she's the one with the experience. You know, she's done a lot of volunteering.
So she's offering a different perspective.
And she counters each of Jason's worries by sharing her own experiences.
Clever.
Like, for example, Jason is worried that volunteering won't actually help him learn any useful skills.
Right.
But Emma points out that it really depends on what you choose to do.
How so?
She talks about how volunteering at an animal shelter isn't just about cuddling with puppies.
Oh, I see.
It's also about responsibility and learning to care for something other than yourself. And even just learning some basic animal care.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Right. It's a way to learn by doing.
Definitely.
And I think that kind of hands-on experience can be super valuable for someone learning a new language.
Just if they're learning English.
Yeah, because you're interacting with people in real-life situations, using the language organically, picking up new vocabulary without even thinking about it.
It's like a real-life language lab, but way more fun.
Totally. And this podcast episode actually uses a real-life example to back this up.
Oh, tell me about it.
So Emma talks about how she actually improved her Spanish by volunteering.
Wow. So it's not just a theory.
Nope. It's something that's actually worked for people.
I think that kind of personal story can be really powerful.
For sure. It makes it feel more real, you know?
Definitely.
It's not just some abstract idea about potential benefits.
Exactly.
And it connects back to that idea we talked about before about finding the right volunteer opportunity.
Oh, yeah, like something that actually interests you.
The podcast episode makes a big deal about that.
Okay.
Like if you're passionate about animals, then volunteering at a shelter could be a great way to improve your English while doing something you love.
Yeah, that's what I call a win-win situation.
Right. You're helping animals learning a new language and who knows, maybe even discovering some hidden talent or passion you didn't know you had.
Love it.
Okay, so we've talked about how volunteering can be a way to build skills, practice English, and make a positive impact on your community.
Yeah, that's a pretty compelling case already.
Right. But there's more. This podcast episode doesn't stop there.
Oh, really?
It also talks about the personal rewards of volunteering.
Ooh, now we're getting to the good stuff. I'm all ears.
So they talk about how volunteering can actually boost your confidence.
That's interesting.
Because think about it. It's stepping outside your comfort zone to help other people. That can be a challenge.
It definitely can be.
But when you overcome those challenges, it can be really empowering.
Yeah, you're proving to yourself that you can do more than you thought you could.
Exactly. And that sense of accomplishment can actually spill over into other areas of your life, too.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. And then there's the whole social side of volunteering.
Oh, right.
Connecting with people, making new friends, expanding your social circle.
That's something I hadn't really considered before.
And this podcast episode even goes so far as to say that volunteering can help people feel less lonely and isolated.
Wow, that's so important, especially nowadays.
Totally. And it's not just about making new friends.
Oh, okay. What else?
It's also about strengthening the relationships you already have.
Oh, interesting.
Like imagine volunteering with your family or your friends.
I see.
That shared experience can really bring you closer together.
It's like you're building a stronger foundation for those relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one of the coolest things this podcast does is it uses this metaphor of ripples of change.
I like that. Go on.
So they're talking about how even those small acts of kindness, like volunteering a few hours a week,
Right.
can actually create positive changes that go way beyond that initial act.
I see.
It's like you're throwing a pebble into a pond.
And the ripples spread out.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to solve all the world's problems at once to make a difference.
Right. Every little bit helps.
Totally.
And that can be really motivating, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed by how big some of those problems are.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about Skill building, language learning, social connections, personal growth, and those ripples of change.
Yeah, this podcast episode really makes a strong case for the benefits of volunteering.
Right, especially for young people who are learning English. But I'm curious,
What about it?
do you think these benefits are only for young people?
That's a good question, and actually that's something our next source explores in more depth.
Okay, tell me more.
We're going to switch gears a little bit now
Okay.
and look at this article from Psychology Today that takes a broader look at volunteering in general.
Cool. I'm ready to see what they have to say.
Me too. I'm especially interested to see how their insights compare to what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, and where they might differ.
Should we dive in?
Let's do it. I'm ready for more volunteering insights.
Okay, so we're moving on to our next source, this article from Psychology Today.
Right.
And you mentioned this one takes like a wider view of volunteering, not just for young people or English language learners.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
looking at the bigger picture.
Okay, well, I'm ready to see what kind of insights we can glean from this one. Well, one thing that really stands out is the focus on the mental health benefits of volunteering.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, like it almost seems like volunteering can give you a mental health boost.
In what way?
Well, for example, the article talks about how helping others can actually release endorphins in your brain, those feel-good chemicals.
Oh, wow. So it's like a biological thing.
It is. It's not just about that warm, fuzzy feeling you get. It's like an actual chemical reaction happening in your brain that makes you feel good.
That's so cool. So it's like our brains are wired to reward us for being kind.
Pretty much. And it goes even further, saying that volunteering can help reduce stress and combat feelings of loneliness and isolation.
Which, as we all know, are huge problems these days.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense to me. When you're focused on helping others and working towards a common goal, kind of takes your mind off your own problems, doesn't it?
For sure. And you're also connecting with people who share your values, which can definitely help with those feelings of loneliness.
Totally. And this article also talks about how volunteering can give you a sense of purpose.
Right. Especially if you're feeling a bit lost or like you don't know what you're doing with your life.
I can definitely relate to that. There have been times when I felt like I was just going through the motions, and it was through volunteering that I actually found my way again.
It's about contributing to something bigger than yourself.
And even small acts of service can have a big impact on how you see yourself and your place in the world.
It's all about finding that connection to something larger than yourself, and volunteering is a really tangible way to do that.
I like that.
Now, this article also brings up something we haven't talked about yet, the potential downsides of volunteering.
Oh, really? There are downsides.
Well, it's not like volunteering is always sunshine and rainbows.
Okay, fair enough. What kind of downsides are we talking about?
The main thing is overcommitting. Like the article warns that if you spread yourself too thin, volunteering can actually become a source of stress instead of a stress reliever.
Oh, yeah. I can see that it's like anything else too much of a good thing can be bad.
Exactly. You got to find that balance.
Like when you say yes to every request and then
Yeah.
you end up feeling totally overwhelmed and burnt out.
Yep, you got to be realistic about your time and energy levels and only choose commitments that you can actually keep.
It's about quality over quantity, right?
Absolutely. And the article also emphasizes that volunteering should be something you genuinely enjoy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If it starts to feel like just another chore on your to-do list, then it's probably time to reevaluate.
I think that goes back to what that first podcast episode was saying about choosing something you're passionate about.
Right. When you're excited about the cause, you're way more likely to stick with it and actually enjoy the experience.
Passion is definitely the fuel that keeps you going, especially when things get tough.
For sure. So we've talked about the psychological benefits and the potential pitfalls, but there's more.
Okay, what else does this article highlight?
Well, it also touches on the social implications of volunteering.
Like how it affects communities.
Exactly like how it can help strengthen communities by bringing people together from all different walks of life.
I love that. It's not just about the individual benefits. It's about creating a stronger, more connected society.
It's like building bridges across social divides.
And it reminds me of that saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Volunteering can give you a glimpse into the lives of people who are different from you, and that can really help foster compassion and break down stereotypes.
It's about promoting empathy and understanding, which can lead to a more inclusive and harmonious community.
And that kind of social cohesion is so important, especially these days with all the division and polarization in the world.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
Okay, so volunteering can bring people together and build stronger communities, but this article goes even further.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It suggests that volunteering can even influence public policy.
Wow. How so?
By bringing attention to important social issues. So it's not just about providing direct service, it's about raising awareness and advocating for change.
It's about taking action, not just talking about problems.
Exactly. And this article also talks about the importance of finding the right volunteer opportunity.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It says the best fit is when your skills and interests actually match the needs of the organization.
It's like a win-win. You get to use your talents,
Hmm.
and the organization gets the support they need.
It's about finding that sweet spot where everyone benefits.
Right. And the article encourages people to do their research, talk to different organizations, maybe even try out a few different volunteer roles before settling on one.
It's like dating, but for volunteering,
Exactly. You want to find that perfect match.
where both you and the organization feel fulfilled and appreciated.
It's about finding that connection that really sparks your passion and makes you feel like you're truly making a difference.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so we've talked about the psychological and social benefits of volunteering, and honestly, I'm already feeling inspired to get out there and make a difference.
Me too. But we've got one more source to look at, and this one brings in a really interesting economic angle.
Oh, wow. I'm intrigued. I love data. Tell me more.
All right, this time we're looking at a report from the Corporation for National and Community Service.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the numbers are pretty eye-opening.
Hit me with them. I'm ready.
So did you know that in the U.S. alone, the estimated value of volunteer time is close to $200 billion every year?
Whoa. That's a lot of money.
It is, right?
Yeah.
It really highlights the economic power of volunteering.
Yeah, not just in terms of the actual services that volunteers provide, but also the ripple effects it has throughout the economy.
It's a massive contribution.
For sure. And this report explains that volunteering can actually boost local economies
How so?
by supporting those nonprofit organizations that provide essential services.
Oh, right. Those organizations often rely heavily on volunteer labor to function effectively.
Exactly. And that frees up resources so they can serve more people in need.
It's like a win-win situation for everyone.
Totally. Volunteers help the nonprofits thrive, and those nonprofits in turn make the community stronger.
It's a beautiful cycle.
It really is. Now, this report also talks about how volunteering can benefit individuals economically.
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah, I'm curious too, how does that work?
Well, it says that volunteering can actually boost your job prospects.
Really?
Yeah, by giving you valuable work experience and helping you develop new skills.
Oh, I see.
Employers often see volunteering as a sign of initiative and commitment,
That makes sense.
and a willingness to learn, which can make candidates stand out in a competitive job market.
It's like you're getting a free internship, but you're also making a positive impact at the same time.
Exactly. Plus, you're building your resume and expanding your network, which can be super valuable.
So it's not just about being altruistic. There's a real economic incentive for people to get involved in volunteering.
So like investing in your future.
That's a great way to look at it. Now, this report also talks about the impact of volunteering on government spending.
Oh, right. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, me too. What does it say?
It suggests that volunteering can actually reduce the burden on government programs.
Oh.
By providing those essential services that might otherwise need to be funded by taxpayers.
Oh, I see.
Like, for example, volunteers in healthcare settings can help hospitals and clinics that are struggling.
And volunteers in education can support teachers and students.
Exactly. It's like citizens and the government working together to make things better for everyone.
I like that idea. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the kind of society we want to live in.
Absolutely. And the report emphasizes that investing in volunteer infrastructure, things like training programs and support systems, can actually have a positive return on investment for governments.
So it's not just about encouraging people to volunteer, it's about creating an environment where volunteers can thrive and make the biggest impact possible.
Exactly. It's like planting a seed. You need to nurture it and give it the right conditions to grow.
And in this case, the seed is the spirit of volunteerism, and the fruits are all those amazing benefits we've been talking about.
Beautifully put. Now, as we wrap up this last source, I want to highlight one final point that really resonated with me.
Sorry, go ahead.
The report talks about how volunteering can foster a sense of civic engagement and responsibility among citizens.
That's so important, especially these days when it's easy to feel disconnected from the political process and from our communities.
Right. Volunteering reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the world around us.
It's about moving beyond complaining and actually becoming part of the solution.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership, becoming active participants, and using our time and talents to make a difference.
Okay, so we've explored the psychological, social, and even economic benefits of volunteering.
And we've seen how it can transform individuals, communities, and even entire economies.
It's clear that volunteering is a powerful force for good. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a final thought, something to ponder as you go about your day. So we've really looked at volunteering from all angles today, haven't we?
We have. It's been a pretty comprehensive deep dive.
And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
We too. It's amazing to see just how much good can come from volunteering.
Right, like from building skills and learning a new language to boosting mental health and creating stronger communities.
And even strengthening the economy.
It's really incredible how many different aspects of life volunteering touches.
It is. And you know what strikes me?
What's that?
It's like all of these benefits, they all seem to come from something deeper, something more fundamental.
Okay, I'm curious, what do you mean?
I think it all boils down to human connection.
Human connection.
Yeah, that basic need we all have to feel like we belong, to make a difference, to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
I see what you're saying, like that feeling of shared purpose.
Exactly. Working alongside other people towards a common goal and knowing that your efforts are actually contributing to something meaningful.
And it's not just about working together, right? It's about recognizing our shared humanity.
That's it, breaking down those barriers that separate us and realizing that despite all our differences, we're all connected in some way.
It's like that moment when you're helping someone and you look into their eyes and you see a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, you realize that we're all part of this bigger picture.
And that brings us back to that need to connect, to give, and to receive.
Right, and volunteering gives us a really powerful and tangible way to do that.
So it's not just about the skills we gain or the impact we make. It's about nurturing that part of ourselves that craves connection and meaning.
Exactly. And in a world that can often feel isolating and disconnected, volunteering offers a real antidote.
It reminds us that we're not alone, that we have the power to make a difference, and that even our smallest actions can create positive change.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of volunteering.
We've explored so much today, the benefits, the challenges, the impact it can have on individuals and communities.
We've seen how volunteering can transform lives and strengthen societies.
And we hope that this deep dive has inspired you to think about how you can get involved.
Maybe you've been thinking about volunteering for a while but haven't taken that first step.
Or maybe you're a seasoned volunteer looking for a new way to give back.
Whatever your situation, we encourage you to explore the possibilities.
Think about what you're passionate about, what skills you want to share, what kind of impact you want to make.
Once you've figured that out, take the next step.
Find an organization that speaks to you, find a project that excites you, and dive in.
You might just be surprised by the power of volunteering.
And who knows, you might even discover something new about yourself along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And we'll see you next time for another exploration of something amazing.